Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Browns Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, and this is where you can stop on in and get caught up on some of the latest news involving the Cleveland Browns and get a 10-minute take along the way. Thank you so much to everyone who has liked the previous episodes and has subscribed to the channel. If you can, please like this episode, and if you missed an episode or two, please go ahead and like those, get back to them and like them. I would really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the support for our little show. And I love hearing from all of you in the viewer comments on today's show. Joe Flacco opening up about being a mentor for the young quarterbacks. Also on the show, I'm usually the first guy to tell you that preseason doesn't matter. Today, I'm the first guy to tell you that this year, the preseason does matter. Someone needs to call the Browns also, because they got ants. But this is an army you won't want to exterminate, because they're here to support one of the rookies and also the entire Cleveland Browns organization. And then down in the viewer comments, one viewer says there's something that's been underplayed when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. We will find out what it is. But first things first, we have to talk about Joe Flacco. And when you look at the quarterback room, I mean, he's 41. Call him Grandpa Joe, call him whatever you want, but we got him off the couch a couple of years ago, and he came in and took us to the playoffs. And so he's back. Now, remember, we thought it was going to be Kirk Cousins for a while. The Browns wanted to get a veteran presence in there. They made the trade for Pickett. But whether I said it had to be Cousins or Flacco. Cousins, because they understand this offense. They understand Coach Stefanski. They know what he wants to do. And so Flacco is back. But there isn't a person involved in football who doesn't expect him to be some sort of mentor for the rest of the quarterback room. You know, I mean, Pickett's he's a vet. I mean, he's going into his fourth year, but now with two rookies in the mix, Joe Flacco will be counted on for that for sure. And so, of course, he's being asked about being a mentor. And here's what he said. He says, it's such a weird question because you kind of get into trouble no matter how you answer it. He says, I don't want anybody to think, and he said, nobody really thinks of themselves as a mentor. And he says he wants to go, anybody who's in his position wants to go out and compete. They want to be competitive. When you have a good quarterback room like the Browns now have, he's like, you don't really have to worry about being a mentor. You just kind of do you. You compete and you have fun and conversations come up and everybody will learn from them. And that's the thing. Whether he is a formal mentor or not, like a Mr. Miyagi in the room, I don't think that matters. I think just his presence, him being there, if these guys want to learn from him, they're going to learn something from him. And so whether it's his work ethic or how he reads a defense or how his preparation for a game or a practice, like all of these things will be right there in front of these guys to learn from. And so whether Joe Flacco considers himself a mentor or not, guys are going to learn from him by him just being in the room. So, he's 41. He's definitely, obviously he's on he's at the end of his career and he's trying to hang on. And I think it makes sense to start with him, to start the season with him, unless somehow Pickett just blows up in the preseason. But I think it makes sense because he's been here before. He knows the offense. He knows Stefanski. And so you start there. But he is in no way, shape, or form the long-term answer. But there could be a guy in the room who is, and he could have a big impact on getting one of those guys ready. Now, we mentioned preseason. And every year, I honestly, I don't really pay attention to the preseason. But this year, a little different. And it starts with the joint practices. We'll have joint practices with the Panthers and the Eagles this year. And in the past, we've had joint practices with the Vikings. We've had them with the Eagles before. And then in Coach Stefanski's first year, it was with the Giants. And so, to me, the joint practices now are the preseason games. And we don't really get to see what's going on at these joint practices, but that's when they're throwing everything at everybody, and they really get that sense of what it's like playing in the NFL. But this year, the preseason games, and here's the schedule, are really going to matter, and it's because of Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders. Now, week one, that's when they'll have that joint practice with Carolina, and then they'll play them on August 8th at 7 p.m. Then week two, August 16th, they'll be at Philly after those joint practices. And then week three, they're home August 23rd against the Rams. And so typically, I'll tell you, vanilla defenses and things like that, preseason games aren't that important, but this year's so different, folks. With this quarterback battle that is going to happen, it doesn't involve Flacco. Flacco, like we just said, he's been here. He knows the offense. I mean, they know what they're going to get from Joe Flacco. And so, but it's Pickett and Gabriel and Sanders going at it. And so, each time one of those guys is on the field, it doesn't matter if they're playing against fourth stringers. If they're playing against fourth stringers, they should go right down the field on them, right? Like everybody, they are going to be under such a microscope each time they step out onto the field that it's really going to be preseason this year is going to be fun. For the first time in I don't know how long, preseason is going to be fun, and it is going to mean a whole heck of a lot. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I kind of can't wait for the preseason. So, hey, I don't know if you heard, but the Browns have ants. So I'm looking through the comments. I always look at the viewer comments, and I try to respond to all of them if I can get to them all, if I have time. And I was going through the comments, over the last few weeks, I keep seeing people say, I'm here for my nephew Shedeur. I'm here for my nephew. Here for my nephew. And I'm thinking, how many sisters does Dion have? And I did a little digging. Well, it turns out the Browns have inherited a fan club called the CU Aunties. This is a group of women who support the Colorado Buffaloes football team, and they're female fans, and they unite to support the team, create a positive, supportive atmosphere. They have a website, they have an X account, Instagram, Facebook, a podcast. They have it all. They offer a space for women to connect and share their love for the Buffs and enjoy game day experiences together. Now, what is nice about this is they've kind of adopted the Browns, and Jacksonville is getting their share as well with Travis Hunter there. But here's what I love about this: the whole part of a positive, supportive atmosphere. That is exactly what the Cleveland Browns and the Cleveland Browns fans need right now. We need to shift this whole mindset, folks. And if we can get the power of the CU Aunties to help us out, I'll take it. So I welcome aboard CU Aunties. Please always comment in the viewer comment section. But like I said, I was like, man, oh man, he's got what's going on? And so I did some digging, and I found this out. And obviously I didn't follow Colorado football very closely. I'm an Ohio State Buckeye, Big Ten kind of a guy. And so did my research and found out this is great news. And so appreciate it. Thank you. Look forward to seeing and hearing from you all season long and throughout Shedeur's career, which is going to be like 20 years, with the Browns. And so thank you so much for that. Now, I found them in the viewer comments, and I find a lot of you in the viewer comments, and this is where we will start today with Carla Whitty, 7462. I hope Gabriel gets traded so he can get out of Shedeur Sanders' shadow. Between the media, fans, and every know-it-all, the poor guy doesn't stand a chance. I don't know if I'd say it. I mean, I don't know, Carla. The Browns took him in the third round. That is a big deal. I keep going back to this. You got to remember that. I think it makes him a little safer than some people. When you use a draft pick that high on somebody, you expect them to be with the team. And so I don't see them trading either Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders. I mean, one of these guys could end up, being a solid, viable quarterback for them, or if they are traded, it won't be until at the end of the season or in the off season. If, like I've mentioned before, I would think Gabriel could be packaged in a deal to get another number one or something, or move up so they can get another quarterback next year if they feel they need it. Hopefully it all works out this year and we're done talking about drafting quarterbacks and wait until next year. James Edwards, G6N, says, I see this year for the Browns as a transition year. Kind of a beta test, dress rehearsal for next year and the years to come. I don't think they should worry so much about wins and losses this year. Instead, focus on putting the pieces together and working out the bugs so you're hitting on all cylinders next year. Patience is a virtue and good things come to those who wait. Now, I agree with that, but in Cleveland, every year is wait until next year. And so at some point, our patience is going to run out. And I think with some fans, it is running out. I've talked to some. My one good buddy is done with the waiting and the draft and getting extra draft picks and always worried about next year's draft. And, it's like, when is this year? Like, when can we stop talking about next year? And then I will tell you, I went into this season the same way, James, thinking, this year, not about wins and losses. It's really about getting the two rookie quarterbacks ready to play in the NFL, Joe Flacco to mentor them, all of it, everything we're talking about today. But like I said, stranger things have happened, and I do think they have a chance they can win 6 or 7 games. And if 6 or 7 turns into 9 or 10, if the defense is really balling out and things fall into place for them, I mean, there's a chance you can end up looking at a wild card spot, but that is way down the road. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but at least we have hope in the quarterback room, and it could help. Nate, ZY5CE, again, more password than it is YouTube handle, but it's okay. I'm an older CU alum and longtime Buff Bronco fan. He's like, I never cared so much about the Browns before. Thank you so much. He says, go Browns, go Shador. Sooner or later, I think he'll be your starter. I suspect sooner. The media has hyped the negative, undeservedly in his honest opinion, and underplayed the positive about this incredible young man and quarterback. I anticipate big things from him and from the team that sticks with him. And that last line is really what stuck with me, how he says they've underplayed the positive. And I will tell you, folks, as this has gone on, and I've done research for the show, and you go back and you look at what Shador does and what he's done in the past and just everything, I think that's a thing. I think the positive has been underplayed a little bit with him, especially nationally. I just think that people want to focus on the flashiness and everything and all that, but when you look around, I mean, there aren't any negatives. And so I appreciate the take. I agree with your take. And I really hope it all works out. He's saying all the right things, doing all the right things. And it didn't start when he got here to Cleveland. It started long before that. King Lewis, JTL24. Here's how we'll end. Yo, the Bengals players are hilarious. Pokemon, ? I bust out laughing at that. Remember when the Bengals, they were all busting on there trying to crack on the Browns and talking about the home opener, say the Browns collect quarterbacks like Pokemon. Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's cool. But King Lewis is right, man. I laughed at it too, the whole Pokemon thing. But, that's what we're counting down to now, folks. And now we've got we got that locker room that the material hanging on the cork board now from the Bengals, and so I'm sure it's hanging there. I'm sure it's in the Browns locker room, but a little more fuel to the fire for the home opener, courtesy of the Cincinnati Bengals players. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show. Please like and subscribe and get those comments in there. Love to hear from you. All right, go Browns. We'll see you next time.